Hey guys, it's Matt here. This video is going to be the first one of my new video blog. I've seen quite a few clips out there on YouTube of trainers or coaches who address concerns and questions that a lot of clients or athletes have. And so far most of the stuff I've done has been videos of me working out or showing different exercises, but I kind of realized within the past few weeks, past month, that the thing that really gets a lot of people thinking is more of the mental aspect and kind of the food for thought type of thing. So as I'm going through the video today, when we started our 4-week warrior program that we have going on right now, we had a bunch of cards at the beginning, blank slips of paper, and I had everybody write down a goal for themselves. And I kind of addressed the idea of what their goal should be. And I get a lot of people who come in and talk to me at the gym and they say, I want to lose 30 pounds, or I want bigger biceps, or I want to be able to run faster, or whatever their goal may be. But those are really surface goals. It's hard for some people to stay committed to a goal like that. So when I have people who come to me with goals like that, I try to dig a little bit deeper. Sometimes they'll let me, and sometimes people are a little standoffish, but if I'm able to get to the root of the problem and of their goal, then it's a lot easier for them to be successful. So I went through and explained exactly what I wanted people to write about. You know, if you come in and say, I want to lose 30 pounds, why? You know, oh, well, because I feel self-conscious. Why do you feel self-conscious? Because I don't feel confident around my friends. Well, why is that? And 10 or 15 questions later, it ends up being that they're afraid of losing their spouse because they're not attracted to them anymore. Or when they're in a group of friends, they feel like they're the least attractive one of their friends. And it's hard for someone to come in and immediately say something like that. So they list like a surface goal. And as you talk more and more, you can kind of chip away and get down to the root of the problem. So one of the papers that I read, it kind of sparked a little bit of interest in a personal story that I have. It's going to be a little bit of a longer video, but it's the first one of our video blog. So it says, I want to make my dad proud of my athletic ability. Now, that can mean a lot of different things. It reminded me of a story that I had, and it's really how I got into fitness and exercise and training. My dad and my uncles, they would always have their garage talk, and my brother and I would go over and talk to them and listen to stories, and they were the old east side type of, well, north side type of guys, and worked on cars, and, you know, got into brawls and grew up in kind of the rough times. And it was fascinating for me to sit there and listen to this stuff. And I grew up in some little house that was well maintained, and you know, I didn't do anything rough or tough, and I was kind of a mama's boy. So whenever we would be over at my uncle's house listening to these stories, I started to feel like, you know, and what would I be made of if I were in a scenario or a situation to where I needed to protect myself or protect my girlfriend or even one of my family members. So I decided to try like amateur mixed martial arts, amateur fighting, nothing too extreme, but I wanted to see what I could do. And I found this place out in West Des Moines that you could just go and sign a waiver and find someone to fight. I mean, looking back at it now, it wasn't the smartest thing to do, but it gave me a goal to work towards. So I actually took Robin's boxing class. This is like 5 years ago, to get a little bit of endurance. So I'm here at this club with this sanctioned fight thing, and I'm sitting there with my dad and one of my uncles who, you know, they told their brawl stories with, and my brother and some of my friends. And I go in there and they set up this fight. They get me lined up with this guy who was like, you know, kind of in the same boat as me. So we ended up going at it and having our match, and he hurt his shoulder and had to quit. And I was pretty bummed out because it wasn't how I wanted it. I wanted it to be like an actual test of my abilities. And especially because my dad and my uncle were there, and this is what kind of drew me into it. I wanted to see what I was made of because I heard all their awesome stories and I didn't have any for myself. So the ref and the announcer asked if I wanted them to try and find me somebody else to go against, and I said, yeah, sure. So I walked back into the back where people would get their hands taped, and I'm just some new dude in gym shorts. I didn't have my hands taped. I had these gross gloves and some stranger, and I see this guy sitting there in like these fight shorts, and he's getting his hand taped up, and he's like sitting there. I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna get the crap beat out of me. So I'm like, what the hell? So I go up and I'm like, so, you know, what's up? Are you the guy I'm fighting, you know? And I try to be all like friendly because it was my first time there. He's like, yeah, take it easy, I never fought before. He kind of looks away. I'm like, yeah, right, jerk. So about half hour later, they call me back up there, and they're like, oh, this is Matt Salampa, brawler from Des Moines. And then the lights dim and this music comes out. It's like, and this dude comes out and he's like shadow boxing, and I'm kind of like, oh no. And I look over at my dad, and he's just kind of like, oh, okay, well, we'll see what you got. And I thought to myself, I'm gonna get the living crap beat out of me by this professional dude, but if it's ever gonna happen, it's gonna be now. I can't really back down now, and I was so scared. So they ring the bell, and we go into it, and this guy does like a spinning Superman punch thing, and luckily I dodge out of the way, and he grabs me and picks me up and throws me on the ground. And there's actually a video on Facebook of this. So he throws me on the ground, and somehow I get out of it, and I just start pummeling the living crap out of this dude. And he gets up, we get back up, ref stand us up, we go at it again, and I had no real experience, and he was some experienced dude. Somehow I ended up beating this guy, and he quit. And looking over and seeing my dad's expression was totally worth it. He had like that, that's my boy, you know, that's my son, and he's sitting there with my uncle, and they're looking at each other like, holy crap, you know, and my brother's there. And that, all of that leading up, all of the hours that I put into the gym, all those classes I went to when I was tired, all of that was worth it just to look over and see my dad in the way back of this bar by himself. And he was so proud that I had went in and done this, and I was proud of myself. And you have a situation like that where you have an insecurity or a goal. I didn't know what I was made of. I didn't know if I'd be able to protect myself or people I loved and cared about. So I trained hard. I trained very, very hard, and I went in there like 2 months later. Didn't know who I was going up against. It was the biggest rush I've ever had, and this experienced guy got in the ring, and my drive and motivation supplemented in for my lack of experience, and I ended up beating this guy. And there's no, I would have put $1 million on this guy over me, but I still had the confidence and the motivation because my dad was sitting there. So to see someone who says, I want to make my dad proud of my athletic ability, that's something that I can really relate to. If you have a loved one or a relative or somebody you really care about and they're your motivation, there's not too many things you can't do. And that is my personal story on how that came about. And to this day I still will be sitting there, and I catch my dad off to the side talking to somebody, and he'll be telling the story of how he went and watched me fight this guy. And that's the last time I ever went in there. I didn't turn into some big BA tough dude. I just wanted to see what I was made of, and that was it. That's all I needed to do. So I'll have more videos to come to kind of explain things. Going through all these papers, I found a lot of very, very interesting. They were all good to read, but some that really hit home with me. So that's the last part of this video. So hopefully you like this new video blog and you keep checking them out. Thanks.